So let me do this. Let me pull up this story and give you a really good example. We have this story from FoxNews.com. VA tech swimmer rips NCAA transgender participation policy. Feels like the final spot was taken from me. Rekha Georgi, am I pronouncing that wrong? Is it Georgi? Georgi.
Georgi.
Because Georgi sounds really bad.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
Missed the cut for the, I'm not trying to do that. I'm like, I don't know. Missed the cut for the consolation final in the 500 free at the at NCAA championships. So this swimmer ranked 17th and thus was booted out of the finals, and then issued a statement saying it's not fair because Leah Thomas, who won first place, is a biological male, and that's why she got bumped. I'll tell you why I take issue with this, and it exemplifies what I was just saying. A moment ago, I was explaining how the culture war right doesn't stand up. Or, a better way to put it is the middle, the not super political individuals who are just working and living their lives don't stand up. So you were saying just a moment ago that, regular people out there in the world are probably closer to the middle, but they have lives and jobs. The people at this in this competition, the NCAA Women's League, apparently, it's been reported privately, are all outraged that a biological male is competing against biological females. But not a single one of them publicly comes out and says, I am upset about this. I do not feel it is right to have me compete in this situation. They could, at the very least, say, I am issuing a protest to the fact that we are being told we have to compete against a biological male, but I will swim. They could do that. They won't even do that. And it only after the one person who just got bumped by one slot loses, do they come out and say, this is unfair. Here's why I find this fascinating. Where is the person who got 18th? Why aren't they complaining and speaking up? Oh, because it didn't matter. They would not have won. If Leah Thomas was removed, they'd be 17th. They still would not have made the finals. Why isn't the person who's in 16th complaining? They made the finals. What do they care?
Right.
The person who got 17th was bumped by one space, and they've got a scapegoat for what's upsetting them. Now, if people in the middle actually did care about this, and apparently, look, behind the scenes, a letter was issued. Parents have been complaining. If they don't speak up and stand up for what they actually believe in and are worried about, then they're just going to lose. And what am I supposed to do? Just assume their feelings and speak up for them? I mean, I will. But this is the main issue. Right now, this is a left ideological position that a biological male is competing against females. This Leah Thomas is 6'4", broad shoulders, much, much larger than all of the other women, was actually, I think, ranked number 8 in the men's division. Now, a lot of people are posting a meme showing that Leah Thomas was ranked 462 or whatever. That was after hormone replacement therapy knocked Leah Thomas to the bottom of the rankings.
Okay.
And then everyone started saying, look, it's a bottom ranked male. Actually, before transitioning, was actually one of the top ranked males. And now is the number 1 female. But my point is this. If you're in the middle and you're not paying attention, you're not speaking up, this is what's happening. These people privately are complaining about it. Okay, well, if I know they're mad, at least we can assume they are, they're going to lose everything. These young women are not going to win gold ever again, and it's their own faults for not standing up and actually issuing a complaint about what's going on.
So here's the issue I have with people not standing up for women's sports. They specifically asked for a women's division. I remember learning about Title IX in high school. That was quite a while ago, but that's the point. And I remember thinking, okay, I think it's cool that women have their own division that they can compete in, that they're only competing against other women. Awesome. If you fought for something like that, you need to defend it. And women are highly agreeable. I see women just going along to get along. But I tweeted earlier, and I firmly believe that if women don't stand up against this, if women don't refuse to swim with this false swimmer, they deserve to lose. 100%. They deserve to lose all the time. They deserve no more gold medals ever. They don't deserve their own league. Because if you're not going to stand up for what whoever came before you fought for, then you clearly don't think it's important. You don't think your scholarship's important.
I gotta add, many of the women in this league have actually spoken up in defense of Leah Thomas.
Really?
So, yes, 100%. And even in this woman, Rekha Georgi, she actually stated in her complaint, I fully stand with and respect Leah Thomas. She's no different from the rest of us who wake up every day and train hard. It's like, okay. I think, to be completely honest, and I mean this legitimately, Rekha is only complaining because she lost and she got bumped and she has a scapegoat.
I think you're right, and this is exactly a case of women being too agreeable. You can't give someone a foothold like that. You can say, I respect them as an athlete, fine, but they should never compete against other women.
But why are you assuming they're opposed? If they publicly say they're for Leah Thomas, why would anyone assume they're opposed to it?
Well, they wrote the letter. They talk behind the scenes. We really don't like being in the locker room with this guy. And it's obvious that this makes them uncomfortable, and they know there's something wrong, but they're not saying, I will not swim with him.
So we'll operate under that premise. Behind the scenes, we have seen letters issued by the parents complaining, saying their daughters are upset and they feel like, they're being cheated or whatever. Okay. Well, the issue is if publicly they won't fight for it, they lose it.
Yeah.
So we're operating the assumption they're upset it's all happening, but these are the regular people who are working, who are going to school. Deep down, many of them know they're being slighted, being wronged, they're upset, but they won't do anything about it. So what do we do?
Look to Caitlyn Jenner, one of the sages of our time. And if you're going to talk to anybody about transgender in sports, Caitlyn Jenner is the person. It used to be Bruce Jenner, biological male, transitioned to Caitlyn. Bruce was an Olympic athlete. I think he won gold medals.
I think so, yeah.
He was super famous.
On Wheaties boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the father in the Kardashians now is transitioned Caitlyn Jenner and speaks out against this. Says, I have the balls to stand up for women and girls in sports.
Oh, my gosh.
Caitlyn Jenner actually said that.
I have the tweet. I'm looking at the tweet right now. I retweeted it.
Pretty snarky.
She says that she's not about to stand up for transgender rights. She's here to protect women's sports. That's the point. And transgender rights, yeah, you're going to get transgender rights, but women in sports and women's sports is a unique, it needs to be protected.
I think that Caitlyn is a perfect person to speak out about this because Caitlyn used to compete at the Olympic level and then transitioned to try to be more feminine. So here, let's look at the tweet. Oh my gosh.
Caitlyn Jenner was responding to Pink News, who said, Caitlyn Jenner launches another disgraceful attack on trans athletes without a hint of irony. And Caitlyn Jenner said, no, I just had the balls to stand up for women and girls in sports. And I didn't believe that tweet was real.
No, yeah.
And a bunch of other people were responding to screenshots of it saying there's no way that's real.
That's real.
But it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, look, I don't know, going back to what we were saying before in the previous conversation about just everything that's been going on in the culture war. If most people are upset about what's happening and feel like they're in the middle ground, but none of them actually speak up, then it's just going to get worse.
I would even say that that's proof that Caitlyn Jenner is part of the middle ground.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
She probably disagrees with somebody like Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire on certain trans issues, but she also obviously disagrees with the idea of who's biological, somebody who was born as a biological man competing with a biological woman in a sport.
But I think the issue is that what we would refer to as the right in the culture war incorporates post-liberal all the way to far right, actually. So you have this massively eclectic group of people with varying different opinions. Caitlyn Jenner would absolutely be considered on the right. Blair White, who's trans, is considered right-wing.
Right.
Well, who else? Jimmy Dore. They call him a leftist with an asterisk because they're like he's a socialist, but he just espouses right-wing talking points, so he's right-wing. So the issue is, what Caitlyn Jenner would be, and is called right-wing. So they're not part of the left-wing argument in the cultural debate. The middle ground, if you're actually talking about how people feel, the middle ground is right-wing. So that's another reason why I would say there's no middle. Because if you come out and say, like me, for instance, I say I support progressive taxes. Admittedly, I think it's a problem just to take money, give to the government. But I think income inequality is a huge problem. I think systemic racism is a problem. I'm pro-choice. They would say I'm still right-wing, even if I hold those positions are clearly social left. Right now, we'll get into this story in a second about Dave Rubin and conservatives. But if I say things that are clearly economically left and social left, doesn't matter. Because my view of the world or my ideas on civil libertarianism don't sync up with the left, they would say it's right-wing. So then if my positions are not in the middle, then what's the middle?
Just depends on where you're standing.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
No idea.
No, I think it's intended to be obfuscatively confusing.
Well, the issue is that the far left, is controlling all of the institutions. So in a perfect world, we could just ignore all of this and say, well, 99% of people are in what would be considered the middle by the far left. They're not really right. They just don't agree with the far left.
There's a meme about it.
Institutional power.
There's a meme, the political compass, where the top authoritarian left says the left and everything else is far right.
Yeah.
Is it the left that controls every institution, or would it be neoliberal kind of people? Like, would you consider somebody like Sergey Brin, or somebody, the CEO of Apple or the CEO of Google or the CEO of Facebook? Are those leftists, or are those people who are more neoliberal who will tweet the right thing at certain times but never actually stand behind it?
So the issue is, when we're speaking about, at least when we do, it's hard to, we got to define our words. Here on this show, the left includes leftists and neoliberal establishment. And
Yeah.
the reason is that the leftists tend to align with, support, or vote for the neoliberals. Biden being a good example. So I'll say ContraPoints, for instance, is a prominent trans woman and leftist YouTuber, but made a video saying you have to vote for Joe Biden. That being the case, you'll see many of these people, like on the left, like Vosh, we've had on the show, will call me a conservative. He clearly sees himself contrasted with me, even though he comes on the show and we agree on certain things. Granted, he's been accused of harboring very abhorrent, views himself, whatever. What he believes is entirely unto himself. The issue is that it's like what matters most is tribe, not principle or fact. So I can come out and be like, I think Donald Trump represents the worst of American culture, but I certainly think he was the better choice to vote for. Whereas the left is like, we don't care about all of the corruption we've complained about 3 years ago with Hillary Clinton. We're going to vote for Joe Biden anyway. Or they make up some reason to hate Donald Trump, or leftists who, agree with the mainstream media's narratives, even though they've been lied to 800 times in the past 10 minutes. So it's at that point, like, you can see the distinction between the spheres of influence. There's a bunch of different ways to define the different factions, but in the right, you have people who are skeptical and discerning of news and demanding of facts. And on the left, you have the media report at this time, so it must be true. Oh, that was wrong, but this one the media reported, so it must be true.
Are they? Because I've seen a lot of right-wing Facebook people that I know, and they don't seem very discerning of a lot of the garbage that gets posted on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about regular laymen, you're going to see a mixed bag of people who believe random nonsense.
Because I get a lot of news articles in my comments where somebody will say, hey, check this out, look at this, and then I'll check out the article, and I'll say, oh, that's a lot of interesting stuff that they didn't cite, and then I'll Google it, and it'll just all be just BS.
But I'll clarify too. I specifically mean like among the leaders of talking, sharing ideas, writing articles. You'll see on the left they repeatedly fall for every single hoax. The right certainly does fall for some. We had this conversation last week, but I can go through the whole list of every Black Lives Matter protest that turned out to be a false narrative, like Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown. Ahmaud Arbery is a really good example, just over and over and over again. Then you can look at the Covington kids, you can look at Jussie Smollett, you can look at Russiagate, Ukrainegate, all of these stories proven to be false. The laptop being the most egregious. And the issue is when you have leftists and neoliberals either pretending to believe or genuinely believing stories that keep getting proven false.
I think Trayvon Martin and Jussie Smollett would be different categories altogether. One is an area of somewhat disagreement on how something should have gone, and the other was, I just made this up.
Well, no. Trayvon Martin was the media edited the 911 call from George Zimmerman to make it seem like he was racist.
Okay, that's what it is. You're talking about also where they made George Zimmerman look whiter by photoshopping him.
Yeah, so what I mean is that people keep falling for media.
I understand for that. Okay.
Yeah, the corporate press will put out a lie, and then one group of people just says, that's true. And then 6 months later, they're like, well, it was wrong, but this story's true.
I remember seeing when they edited the way that he looked, when they edited his facial color, that was kind of aggravating.
Well, they edited the 911 call, where the 911 operator asked his race. They cut that part out, so it sounded like he was just saying he's suspicious looking because he's black. But what really happened was he says, he looks suspicious. And they said, how tall is he? He's like 5'10". And what's he wearing? He's wearing a hoodie. And what's his race? I think he's black. They edited all that out. So Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. Now you have don't say gay. Just media lie after media lie after media lie. And these people just keep believing it. At a certain point, I have to say, they're probably not believing it. They're probably just lying.
The problem with doing things like that erodes people's trust is that they're willing to go to the other side, and the other side can lie to them as much as they want because they just don't like this side as much as they do.
And it happens. People who just all of a sudden are like, my political belief is now, been swayed because I'm hearing an argument from someone who's been honest to me about these other issues.
When somebody's honest to you about these things that you've been lied to, it's very easy for that person to then lie to you about everything else and for you to be less critical. That's and then true. For the pendulum to swing in the other direction and go back and forth.
Yeah, so, the way I see it is, at a certain point, people will see like 10 stories in the mainstream press that are all lies, and then they'll turn to a conservative and say, tell me the truth. And they'll say, well, those things are lies, right? Okay, now this was a truth. Here's the truth here. And they'll say, okay, I believe you. Because I don't know who else to trust, right? If you're honest to me about these issues, you're probably honest about this one. And so, ultimately, therein lies the big problem, which is the middle ground. I guess the right are people who just don't trust the establishment anymore. Is that one way to put it?
Yeah.
It's like the media reports it and you're like, I don't believe it.
I kind of see it a little bit more as weak-minded people and strong-minded people. You get weak-minded people on any side, extreme leftists, extreme rightists, people that just buy the bull. And that's the matter. Not everyone's always weak-minded. Sometimes strong-minded people become weak-minded because of bad diet, not enough sleep, stress. Sometimes weak-minded people get strong-minded because of adversity. They struggle through adversity. But that's more of a category as I split these people.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.